What's happening, traders? I hope you are good. Welcome to this GJ update. I will be answering your questions in a video later on this week. I just wanted to highlight a trade that I took recently. So if we look to the left here, we've got a lovely engulfing structure here, which was an H1 demand zone. And the market came into it nicely, so we dropped down to the 5-minute chart for H1 zones. That's my preference personally because they work really nicely. If we look over to the left here, we've got a bearish engulfing structure that represents our event break, and we had a lovely event break area there. The only issue was that when the market came back down, it missed my trigger by a hair. And, sometimes this happens, guys. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. But nonetheless, I stayed in and I looked for another opportunity, and it did present itself. And we have another H1 engulfing structure that was actually formed out of this H1 demand zone. So let's wrap some lines around this. And let's get rid of this also, just to make this clearer for you guys. And if we dive into the dive into the 5-minute, if we look at this, we can clearly see that there is no structure here. There is no bearish engulfing structure that would represent our event break area. So then I had to go down to a lower time frame, being the 1-minute chart. Can anyone tell me how I can stop going back like this all the time? If you've got any ideas, please let me know on TradingView, because it's so annoying sometimes. So let's just widen this up so we can get a clearer look at this. So we've got a basing structure right here. It's not the usual engulfing structure that I usually take, but nonetheless, we've got a rally basing structure and a drop, which is really nice. So this whole area here would represent. And this is what happens when you get down to the lower time frames. Things get messier. They aren't as clear. So we've got a nice break here, but that was a tiny little break, a break that is not sufficient enough for me to then look for an engulfing structure. And if we look down here, there's nothing down here that really represents our structure. So the market then pushed down and then proceeded to push back up with a really strong 1-minute engulfing structure. And so we have our trigger event. Now, this is a really small it's like 2 pips here, and I have a 2 pip spread on GJ, right? So I decided to take my entry here and have stops just here. And if we then put this here, we are only risking, I think it's around 5 pips. Now, where's the next logical place to go for targets? Because I'm really focusing on going on zone to zone, guys, really focusing on zone to zone. As I love these home run trades like 200, 300, 600 and so forth. But, sometimes you miss out on these 300 or 400 pound moves or 200 pound moves because you're trying to get that £1,000 off £2,000. So I think it's so important just to focus on zone to zone. It's been making such a difference in my trading. And this area here is the H1 zone that I targeted. And if we go up here like so, we can see that that was a 74 pip, and we had a 15 to 1 on this trade. So a really, really simple and easy trade, playing zone to zone from the H1 time frame. I'll see you again in another video, guys.
A true shinobi does not set out to seek glory. They protect from the shadows. That is the mark of a true ninja.